The best of Money Matters. Under the Radar.
You're listening to Money FM 89.3, and it's now time for Under the Radar with me, Chua Tian Tian. Now, converting complex data landscapes into actionable insights that can drive strategic business outcomes. That is the work of our guest for today, Qlik. Now, founded in 1993, Qlik is a software company that focuses on data integration, analytics, and artificial intelligence, providing enterprise-grade AI and machine learning part solutions that work with diverse data sources. Now, the firm serves over 40,000 global customers, including some of the brands that we interact with on a day-to-day basis. Now, take, for instance, Dominos Pizza. Now, in this scenario, Qlik built a comprehensive data tracker to streamline Dominos Pizza's 85,000 data sources into a single view of its customers and global operations. Now, another example would be how Qlik worked with Urban Outfitters to reduce the time taken to complete store-level reporting from hours to minutes. But really, who does Qlik work with right here in Asia, and what should we know about its business and the opportunities present in the region? And in the meantime, Qlik is also an interesting company to look at right now because it is expanding through both organic and inorganic means. It had in November 2024 announced the launch of a new cloud region in Mumbai to enhance its global cloud infrastructure and meet growing demand for local data storage and advanced AI capabilities. But what are the opportunities in India, and how far would a deeper presence in India benefit regional ASEAN markets? In the meantime, the firm also had in May 2023 acquired data management vendor Talent. But how has it integrated the firm into its business, and how has the acquisition benefited Qlik more than a year down the road? Right, a lot of questions, as you can imagine, and joining me here in the studio is Chongyang Chan, Managing Director, ASEAN and Greater China Region at Qlik. Chongyang, welcome.
Thanks, Tian Tian. Happy to be here.
Great to have you join us on the show. And Chongyang, we've briefly talked about Qlik and how Qlik is a software company that focuses on data integration, analytics, and AI. In particular, you provide enterprise-grade AI and machine learning solutions that work with diverse data sources. That being said, there's a lot of jargon to unpack over here. Help us break down your value proposition, business model, and positioning in the software industry.
So to speak in a language that local listeners can understand. So Tian Tian, just imagine you set up a very simple grocery shop, all right, and nothing out of ordinary until one day you bought a small magical CCTV camera. And you bought it from a magical company whose name starts with Q. And this magical camera, right, you install it in the store pointing at the storefront. And it knows who entered the store. You know who bought what items, what frequency. You know how much they purchase each visit. And over time, it learned their preferences as well. And they can anticipate what they need. They knew how to track the inventory. They knew how to automatically send alerts to replenish inventory. And over time, it even recommends new customer segments and suggests a loyalty program. So I'll wrap it down to value proposition of Qlik is really making sense of data to find useful ideas or answers. So this example I gave, right, we have many customers, not just in retail, which the example I gave, but it cuts across financial services, public sector, manufacturing as well. So to wrap it up in terms of positioning, I'll talk about two things. First thing, very important, is we do business where the customers are.
Okay.
We don't force customers to go to the cloud. We tell the customers that, look, if you're comfortable where you are now, you're not totally in the cloud, that's fine. Second thing to note is about enterprise grade. It's about sophistication and complexity and scale. So a lot of the customers that work with us are typically in areas whereby they deal with a lot of data and they use it to be able to find insights in their business.
Okay. And, Chongyang, I understand that your products or Qlik's products can be segmented into three verticals, right? Data integration, analytics, and finally AI and machine learning. So ultimately, when it boils down to earnings contribution, which is the most important segment for the firm?
So all three cylinders are firing and doing their share. And I would say that it depends on the maturity of the market where Qlik is at, where currently the industry is at in terms of maturity will have different use cases. I'll give you an example. In a market where it's at its infancy stages of data analytics, to them the visual part is becomes a quick win for them.
Mm-hmm.
But in markets like in Singapore, whereby a lot of organizations have been using data analytics for a long time, they are at a more mature part of the analytics cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So the use cases are very different as well. So when you look at the ASEAN region, it's a very diverse region whereby the markets are on both ends of the spectrum. We have markets whereby it's very mature. We have markets where at its infancy.
Yeah.
Right. So markets like Vietnam tends to be at the beginning of the maturity curve.
Yeah.
And it takes time to really move up. But what I can tell you is that AI growth surpasses all of that. According to a recent McKinsey report, the APEC region or Asia Pacific region is expected to contribute over 50% of global AI growth by 2030. I would say that right now, in Singapore, since we're here, right, a lot of businesses are still trialing and testing, which are the use cases and business use cases that can yield the most value for us. So one of the things that come in mind would be AI can be used in customer service automation, personalization, prediction, as well as fraud.
Okay. So ultimately, when we segment the business into data integration, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, for Qlik as a business itself, which is the biggest earnings contributor or which is the most important vertical to the firm, so to speak, given the different stages that your clients are and the different tech adoption?
In ASEAN and Greater China, it's very hard to pinpoint specifically where those are going to come from. But I would say that the importance to the organization, where customers are, it's quite even across. We see a lot of mature markets that is still spending a lot on the traditional analytics. We see a lot of customers in the emerging markets they're spending a lot of in AI because where they feel the AI is coming is going to reset the playing field. And that allows organizations to really leapfrog their traditional competition in there. So
they're going straight to AI without the traditional.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's right. So that leapfrogs a lot of years of investment that without AI, they have to really invest in there. So I would say the importance of organization, all three are very important for us.
Okay, because different geographies will spend on different things. In terms of industry focus, right, Chong Yang, your firm's products are catered to a diverse range of sectors, ranging from financial services, manufacturing, healthcare, consumer products, the U.S. government as well, private sector, and even more. It's a very, very comprehensive and long list that we are looking at. But ultimately, financially for Qlik, which is the most important industry segment? And is there a particular industry segment that you are focused on at this point in time?
So Tian Tian, as they say, no data, no honey. That's the term I cook up, by the way. So when I say this is no data, there's nothing to analyze, right? And which are the largest producers and consumers of data? So according to Gartner, the top industries without fail in any market are financial services, public sector, then retail or manufacturing depending on the market. And I will say this as well, right? As I mentioned earlier, Tian Tian, there are different industries on different stages of the maturity curve where different focus depending on where they are. And at Qlik, we are constantly challenging our customers to elevate themselves in the maturity curve. And the third point I'll make is this. Typically, as I mentioned earlier, according to Gartner, that financial services are the biggest consumers of data, right? But does it mean that if you're not in financial services, there's no hope for you? No, nothing could be further from the truth. We have a customer that's in the agriculture business. It's Jaffa. I'll talk about it later as well. JAPFA.
Yes.
They are in the agri business. They're in feed
meat
and
production.
Meat production, all those. And very interestingly, they use data. They collect tons of data. It's about light exposure, looking at temperature, humidity, and understand in the entire life cycle of the chicken, where is the peak point that it can lay the most eggs, right?
Okay.
So they use AI to really understand how to increase yield. For example, in one particular farm, we find that the yield is higher. In the other farm, it's lower, but the condition seems to be the same. So what's happening there? So AI helps them to understand where are the fine-tuning aspects they can make in there. Maybe give them more water, increase light for example, right? So they are a very good example of how they, an industry where it's not typically mature analytically, they can come in, use AI, and be able to make a huge difference to their business.
Interesting that you mentioned about Jaafar, because Jaafar was one of our earlier guests on Under the Radar back in, I think, 2023, July, if I'm not wrong. So we talked all about the business, the meat production, and the cake for meat consumption as well. But Chongyang, so if I understand you correctly, basically when you look at industry focus, you still go by the numbers, whichever sectors or segments that have the most amount of data points, so to speak. That's where your industry's focus going to be, even though you are quite diverse in terms of your offerings.
Correct.
Now, Chongyang, let's take a look at your customer base, because Qlik serves over 40,000 global customers, including some of the brands that we interact with on a day-to-day basis, one of them being Dominos Pizza. And other customers include Airbus, Lenovo, Urban Outfitters, and even more. Who are your customers right here in ASEAN and Greater China? How would you segment them?
So in Singapore, we have a bank, OCBC Bank. It's the second largest bank in Southeast Asia. They use our technology to generate over 100 million in annual revenue. Just looking at a 360 view of the customer, it helps them to generate or use over 30 business use cases to achieve this. Another example is Singlife. We work with them to access real-time customer insights. So what they can do is really triple the time of digital claims processing, and it helps the call data center to be faster to respond back to the customer, and it helps them to be able to reduce friction and be able to elevate the customer experience. One last example, Tian Tian, is Science Center Board.
Okay.
So, we work with them to elevate the visitor experience by improving marketing and operations, so that you're able to quickly be able to understand the trends of the visitors coming in and be able to enhance the experience they can get.
Actually, interesting that you mentioned Singlife as well. They were also on the show quite recently talking about their dementia care support. But talking about the broad spectrum of customers you serve, right? Chongyang, how would you segment them? Which is the most important segment for you? And what is the average transaction size, given that you're looking at some of those really big companies there?
Given that Gartner's viewpoint is that the larger consumers of data is mainly going to be in areas where they generate a lot of data. Banks do, insurance do, the public sector do as well. And as we move forward, we see the non-traditional markets like agriculture now generating a lot of data. I wouldn't say that next year is pretty much going to be the same. We find these sectors, they have more creative users of then harnessing all the data which they haven't been able to do previously, and really take advantage of that. So in the focus of what we do is really taking care of every customer of ours and helping them to find innovative use cases, right? It doesn't mean that the traditional customer segments that we have will continue to come up with innovative solutions, but rather the non-traditional customer which I talked about. And that is where I think the very exciting business innovation comes out. It really helps them to generate new revenue streams for them as well.
Just a quick clarification. We are now in January. So when you talk about next year, we are referring to 2025, correct?
That is
Still
correct.
trying to adjust to the new year. So in 2025, there might be more adoption from the traditional sectors. But any number of zeros, any clues you can give us on the transaction size, if I can try my luck over here before we move on?
I can say that I'm really pumped. I'm really excited about the new year. And the growth that is coming up from what we see this year, 2025, next year, 2026 as well, that the guidance has been really phenomenal. What the guidance from the consultants is that we can see that more than 50% growth from AI is going to be coming out from Asia Pacific. So the potential is really amazing. I'm really excited. Okay,
we'll definitely talk more about that in just a bit. But let's take a look at your geographical footprint, right, Chongyang? How many markets is Qlik in at this point in time? Which is the most important market for the firm financially and also operationally? What is then the role of ASEAN and Greater China to the firm's overall portfolio?
Qlik is represented globally. So we have customers in the Americas, in Europe, APAC as well. I would say that the region, Asia-Pacific region, generates approximately 60% of the world's unstructured data. 60% of the world's unstructured data, which represents a significant opportunity for AI-driven insights and innovation. Talking about that, APEC economies, all the countries in the APEC represent about 40% of global GDP, right? So we look at the APEC, Americas and EMEA. APEC is about 40%, represents a big chunk of that. Coming closer to home, the China GDP represents half of the APEC GDP. That's natural given that they're the world's size, manufacturing trade hub, right? And the addressable market for data and analytics for ASEAN and Greater China is about 2 billion according to Gartner, which is the biggest share in APEC.
Yeah.
Right. So the ASEAN and Greater China region has a lot of hotspots of industry innovations that will drive them to take advantage of data even more. APEC will continue to be a key region of Qlik's overall business strategy, and we remain committed to investing in this region. As Tian Tian, you mentioned, the cloud tenant that's created in Mumbai, India. Besides India, we have 3 other cloud regions in APEC, Australia, Singapore, and Japan.
So these are the hotspots for you, so to speak. Okay.
Yes.
We've briefly talked about where things are at for Qlik. Now let's look ahead. What would you say are the key opportunities for growth in Asia or ASEAN plus Greater China? How would that influence the business decisions you'll make at Qlik going forward?
As I look at 2025, I see several growth spurts. In financial services across Asia, where we're talking about retail, SME banking, you will be surprised to know that 40 to 50% are underbanked. They're underserved. So the banks are not able to reach them. So traditional credit scoring won't really work, right?
Yeah.
They don't have the credit history to go by. And they have to look at alternative ways of doing customer scoring, customer behavior as well. One of the examples is that they use data to look at how the account activity fluctuates over time.
Okay. Yes.
End of the month, the salary comes in. What happens after day 1, day 2, day 3? From this small fluctuation in customer activity, you can actually tell they can put a score in terms of how in terms of the customer worthiness that is coming from there. In the telco sector, the number one use case is going to be customer churn prediction. Telco being a very highly competitive area, not just in Singapore, but across the ASEAN region as well, right? So they look at various points like customer engagement, customer service, customer experience, and predict what is the chance of this subscriber moving to a competitor, right? So what they can do is then they intervene early, and they create offers and reach out to this customer ahead of time before they churn, right? So another example is hyper-personalization. So with the advent of AI and data, it allows the telco to then come up with a one-to-one marketing program as opposed to putting customers into segments, housewives, students, right? Now using AI, they can then go to the customer and understand the profile, the demographic, and create a very compelling offer just for that customer, right? And so focus is around the next best offer, next best action there. One unique thing I want to talk about is generative AI, Gen AI. For enterprise unstructured data, what we call Qlik Answers. So with Qlik Answers, it helps the customer to perform very fast credit risk assessment without the need to look through a lot of financial statements, credit histories, and help the customer to be able to come up with accurate risk assessment for the account they're looking for as well. The other area is China, which I would like to raise. China will have exponential growth driven manufacturing. So example, the semicon and financial services, China has very strict data sovereignty frameworks, which many MNCs are trying to decouple their data assets from the HQ and building their systems locally. So even last year in 2024, we see a lot of multinational organizations in China coming and setting up very elaborative frameworks locally in China.
Okay. Now, if you're just tuning in, we're now in conversation with Chong Yan Chan, Managing Director, ASEAN and Greater China Region at Qlik. Well, Chongyang, you've spoken about the opportunities in China, and I do want to talk more about expansion because Qlik is on the lookout for further expansion in Asia. In November 2024, you've announced the launch of a new cloud region in Mumbai to enhance its global cloud infrastructure and meet growing demand for local data storage and advanced AI capabilities. Another market that you're expanding into is Japan as well. And you've talked in depth about China. Specifically, when it comes down to India and Japan, what are the opportunities there and how far will a deeper presence in India and Japan ultimately benefit your ASEAN business?
So two parts to that. I think first part is on the advantage to the local customers in India and Japan. So having local tenant satisfies the local requirements around data residency, which the primary industries, right, financial services, public sector, they have very strict data sovereignty frameworks. In India, the hotspots are obviously financial services, whereby they can use data and AI to look at fraud detection, credit scoring, real time as well. So in the public sector, they are looking at smart cities. Very hot topic there. And in the healthcare, they'll be looking at patient record analysis and how to accelerate drug development. In Japan, what's key for them is manufacturing, obviously. And they're looking at IoT and the supply chain. And of course, the next important thing for Japan is financial services, where they'll be looking at risk analysis. So the second part of your question, Tian Tian, is how would that benefit ASEAN and GCR customers? So a lot of our customers in ASEAN and Greater China, they have a lot of their branch offices in India and Japan as well, right? And the reason why they do that, they have set up regional operations in India to support them from technology development perspective, IT services, shared services, customer support, as well as going to high-value manufacturing and R&D in Japan.
Well, an exciting question for us as we get to put you in the hot seat right now, Chongyang. Where does the firm intend to expand further into in 2025? And how far will the Trump administration and possibly a US-China trade war complicate matters for any expansion into Greater China, though?
So it's interesting that the media commonly portrays the US-China tensions negatively. Maybe I'll touch on some of the positives. First thing is that 5 years ago, when the tariffs and the tech bans have started, it had caused a lot of global customers to de-risk themselves in the supply chain. And that has driven a lot of manufacturing hubs out from China into Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia as well. So that has increased a lot of investment in the ASEAN region. So you can see there's a change in the methodology. It used to be centralized. A lot of manufacturing facilities in China itself is now moved from centralized to decentralized. And that bears in mind a point here is that the manufacturing methodology used to be just in time, right? I want to reduce my costs, just nice inventory, all centralized in China. Now, because of de-risking, now I go from just in time to just in case. So I have my facilities not just in China, but in Vietnam as well. So I have my manufacturing hubs in various places. Second point I like to make, since the tech ban like Huawei 5 years ago, China has been focused to accelerate its own development of its own technologies, with a lot of government subsidies being poured into a few areas, semicon, EVs, and AI. And today, China has the ability to sustain its own economy and also export as well. And we hear that they announced the 3-nanometer chip technology, right? 5 years ago, it was 28 nm, and it typically takes 15 years to move there. And case in point, Tian Tian, the iPhone 16 was built using 3 nanometers. Right, and in EVs, you can see that China is now the number one manufacturer of EVs globally as well. So China itself, the market has reinvented itself, and there's a lot of demand from our China customers because they are now creating a lot of self-capability that's driving a lot of businesses for us as well. And no wonder Gartner lists China as the number one share in addressable market for analytics in APAC.
So they are doing a lot of innovation and they require a lot of data analysis. But aside from expanding further in China, any other places that you're hoping to expand into? Vietnam, for instance?
Yes. Vietnam, good point you brought up about Vietnam, right? So if you look at where Gartner is talking about if in consumption of data is in the banking area. In banking area, we see a lot of banks in Vietnam coming up in the in that maturity stage where they are getting global, and that is an area where we're watching out as well. We are working a lot with our partners, right, to really go into that market and drive a lot of customer innovations in those areas as well.
Okay. Now, from organic expansion, Chong Yang, I do want to switch gears to look at inorganic expansion. In May 2023, the firm acquired data management vendor Talent. How has it integrated the firm into its business? Years down the road, how has the acquisition benefited Qlik? And what are some targets that you're looking to, acquire in the year of 2025?
The coming together of Qlik and Talent is a perfect match. It's like a destined partners. It's like Qlik finally found a missing part of the puzzle. This is pivotal as it combines Qlik's existing analytics capabilities with Talent's strengths in data transformation and governance. So take advantage in markets whereby Qlik's branding is stronger and complement when Talent's branding is stronger in certain markets itself. So Talent's technology helped Qlik to build that trusted data foundation needed for AI and analytics. And many listeners might be wondering, what are you talking about AI? AI is really like showing a computer lots of pictures of dogs and cats. Yeah. And Tian Tian, you have a picture of cat on your phone, right?
A picture of a dog.
Picture of I'm sorry.
Yeah, we were just talking about it.
Picture of a dog there. And when you show a computer enough pictures of dogs and cats, it learns over time.
Yeah.
And it's about trust in AI.
Correct.
You just imagine among the pictures of dogs and cats, I slip in a picture of a giraffe and I call it a dog. So imagine what is the output the AI model is going to give you, right? So that is an example of trust in the data when we are using lots of data to really drive the AI itself. So talking about that, we released a press point saying that while 90% of Singapore senior leaders really believe that AI can make a difference in their business, despite that, we see 2/3 of Singapore businesses scaling back on AI, right? And the culprits is really lack of trusted data and data governance challenges.
Okay, I see. Now, going forward, Chong Yang, media reports out in November 2024 revealed that the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority had been reported to invest $1 billion into Qlik. Question for you, what would the new capital injection mean for the firm? How would it trickle down to the amount of resources you can now deploy for further growth, further expansion in ASEAN and Greater China?
The Abu Dhabi Investment Authority's investment in Qlik was part of a broader equity transaction and did not involve a new capital injection into the company. However, this investment is a strong validation of Qlik's business model, vision, and growth potential. The reputation as a strong and strategic investor underscores the confidence in Qlik's ability to drive innovation and deliver results. Additionally, Thoma Bravo, Qlik's private equity owner, made a significant additional investment in the company as part of the same transaction. This dual commitment from Adia and Thoma Bravo highlights the belief in Qlik's leadership in data integration, analytics, and AI, therefore strengthening our market position and stakeholder confidence.
Thanks for correcting me. Yes, it was a secondary transaction with the original owner adding on more capital. Now, before we let you go, Chong Yang, what are some future plans for Qlik for 2025, both at a global level and also back in Asia and in Singapore? What can we look forward to?
There are three things I can mention. Number one, we are going to accelerate AI adoption by eliminating barriers to the cloud. Just as we have a new cloud tenant in India, the other part of eliminating barriers will be looking at trust, right? Increasing trust in AI. The second part is help our customers to innovate in their business. So AI provides a small window of opportunity. Our customers need to take advantage of that. AI resets the playing field, and it helps a lot of the customers to springboard ahead of their competition. And number three is that we want to work hand in hand with the industry to elevate the analytics maturity, right? From democratizing analytics to democratizing AI with programs that will target the leadership and COEs of the customers.
I see lots to watch indeed for 2025. Thanks a lot, Chong Yang. That was Chong Yang Chan, Managing Director, ASEAN and Greater China at Qlik. Thank you so much for joining us on Money FM 89.3.
Thank you very much, Tian Tian.
Before acting on the information on Money FM, please consider if it's suitable for your own investment objectives, financial situation, and risk tolerance. To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at audio.sg or download the audio app. That's AWEDIO, audio at the App Store and Google Play.